Howdy, this is Harlan with Project Oddity, team lead. This is the sprint2 review. This is Oddity's second semester with UAT. This will be the week 10 of that semester. And due to GDC and spring break, we had a couple weeks off where we didn't really do as much. I was able to make some headway with some finalization of how art will be actually brought into the game. For the most part, we have been working this past semester polishing mechanics. We've got the death mechanic in place now where it actually does occur to a point. We're still working on it, so it's a bit more obvious. We've got cinematics. Before, they would just randomly play constantly, or they would have to play beforehand before they can even be triggered properly. Austin's doing really good with keeping up with all that and getting it worked on. We have been trying to revamp the inventory system instead of having the 3x3 at the very top, which to me doesn't fit the aesthetics of the game that I had originally intended. We've been trying to make it more of like a briefcase with items and stuff, kind of like what you would expect in the older Resident Evil games, something like that. It would act as our menu and inventory system. That's been put on hold as our programmer devoted to that has been sick for quite some time. We will see if we can pick that up after, pick it up sometime. But yeah, we were able to get Act 1 finished pretty much. We refined some of the mechanics, the key mechanics that are needed to actually continue through the game. And we've even actually worked on refining a lot of the art. And although some of our recent demos don't really show a whole lot about what has actually been done in the game, we've actually been spending a lot of this last few weeks coming up with all of the plans and storylines and mapping out the town for the next part of the game. Act 2, which is mostly about exploration and learning more about your environment, the people, and how unpleasant everything is to live in this place. So, yeah, that's all what we're going to do for this sprint is take all those ideas and resources and turn it into an actual playable game. So, we may not be able to get the final conclusion or a few of the conclusions. We will build up to the point, but if we can get enough of the alternate play styles, then you should still be able to play the core mechanic. I have seen some games use similar mechanics, but as far as I've noticed, they mostly incorporate replayability that changes after you've completed a game entirely. Oddity is inspired by such mechanics, nothing to the extent of some of the games I've seen recently, but it does want to reference up-to-date data, anything you've played in the game, and reference it every time you reload to a previous save state, start a new game, and pretty much every time you just play. It doesn't have to rely on you completing an entire arc. Only the special triggers that completing an entire playthrough would actually have an effect on that game. But when it comes to like interpersonal relationships with NPCs, you constantly interacting with them, you constantly tormenting them or doing things for them could help you in the long run, and even in like the replay runs. It's really meant to be set up so that you can play from start to finish multiple games, technically through one playthrough. You can start at the beginning of the game, play through, get to some characters, replay with them a lot, maybe condition them to like you a lot more, and then you can load to the very first save within that world, and it's technically like a time jump for major events, but when it comes to the deja vu effect that the characters have, their personal feelings towards you are now reflected in this past time frame. It's kind of confusing, but we need to build up a lot of content before we can actually demo it. So that's what this one's all about. We're going to try and make just enough to show off the basics of that mechanic, and then allow everyone to play it. So I'm going to head down, start working on these videos, and hope to see you soon.